Let's talk about a problem that's, well, it's hiding in plain sight. It has to do with the very words on our screens and a really simple but powerful question. Can we even trust them? We're going to dive into a new way of thinking about how we build that trust, especially now in a world that is just flooded with disposable, AI-generated text.
Now really, think about it for a second. When an AI spits out a summary for you, or you copy and paste a quote from somewhere, how can you be absolutely 100% sure that it's the original, that it hasn't been tweaked or subtly altered along the way? And this right here is the heart of the problem with so much AI-generated text. It's untethered. It just sort of appears, right? With no history, no real way for us to check its integrity, and no visible set of rules that it had to follow. It's kind of like getting a message in a bottle with no return address. What that means is that so much of our digital text becomes completely disposable. We can't confidently build on it. We can't accumulate knowledge from it. Every single time we get an output, we have to start from square one, manually checking everything, just in case. The power is there, but it just vanishes.
So, you see, this isn't just some small inconvenience. The source material we're looking at here frames this as nothing less than a full-blown crisis of digital trust.
To really get our heads around this crisis, let's use a powerful metaphor. Imagine all of us, huddled together in a cave, and we're all warmed by this one single mysterious fire. That fire? That's our centralized knowledge systems. Everything from big old institutions to today's massive AI models. We gather around these caves of knowledge because, hey, they give us warmth and light. They give us answers. But the thing is, we don't really know how the fire is made. And, this is the critical part, we can't make our own.
So the bottom line is that the knowledge we get is a complete black box. An AI gives us an answer, but we have no clue what its internal logic was. We can't see the thought process, so we have no real way to verify that what it gave us is a faithful execution of what we asked for.
But what if we just flip that whole model on its head? What if the real intelligence wasn't locked away inside that mysterious AI runtime, but was instead located in the instructions, the specification that we give to it?
And this is exactly where the earmark Open Intelligence Protocol comes into the picture. It's a whole new way of generating text that is designed from the ground up to be reliable and, most importantly, verifiable.
Okay, think for a minute about how we trust computer software. It's pretty straightforward, right? A developer writes code that a human can read. A compiler then turns that into a machine program. And that program runs predictably, reliably, every single time. There's a clear, unbroken chain of trust.
Well, earmark applies that exact same logic, but to language. We start by writing a governed set of instructions. Then we use the language model, almost like a compiler, to execute those instructions. And what comes out the other end is a verifiable text artifact. Same process, different medium.
So how on earth does this actually work? I mean, how can a simple block of text prove its own integrity? Well, the mechanism behind it is genuinely clever. It's a concept called intrinsic signage. The core idea here is to embed a unique verification pattern. Think of it like a digital fingerprint that's derived from the content itself, and you embed it directly into the style of the text. And because it's part of the style, that verification survives a simple copy and paste. This is done using what the protocol calls dials. Now, these are just tiny stylistic choices that don't actually change the meaning of the sentence. Things we do as writers all the time without even thinking about it, right? Like choosing a colon instead of a period, or saying this system instead of the system. Each one of these is like a tiny little switch that can be flipped on or off. And here is how it all comes together. It's a neat little process. First, a unique digital fingerprint, basically a hash, is created from the text's actual content. Then, that hash dictates a very specific sequence for how those stylistic dials should be set. Finally, the protocol just toggles the dials, in this case changing a period to a semicolon, to match that sequence. And just like that, the style itself now carries a verifiable signature. So the end result is text that has a very particular feel, a certain aesthetic. It's not just about being mathematically verifiable. It's about producing text that feels as clean, as structured, and ultimately as trustworthy as the output you'd get from a high-end software compiler.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and see how this all builds into something much, much bigger. Because this isn't just some clever technical trick. It has some profound, real-world implications.
Just imagine the applications here. You could mechanically,
Instantly, verify that illegal filing hasn't been tampered with. You could guarantee editorial integrity in a newsroom pipeline. You could even tell which AI system or which governance model produced a piece of text just by analyzing its style. At the end of the day, this is all about creating certainty.
But the goal here isn't to create these rigid, unbreakable systems. The source material really emphasizes this point. Our structures of knowledge have to remain flexible, like sand that you can reshape, not brittle and unchangeable like stone. It's about building for resilience, not rigidity.
And this brings us to this really beautiful closing idea. Instead of everyone relying on one big, centralized cave, we can start to build a forest full of song, a diverse ecosystem of trustworthy, verifiable knowledge systems that can persist and thrive, even if one of the big trees in the forest falls.
Which leaves us with a final, powerful question to think about. If the very words we use could verify themselves, if they carried their own proof of integrity with them wherever they went, what new systems of trust, of knowledge, and of collaboration could we finally begin to build?